Am I the a-hole for wanting my son named after my dad instead of my stepdad? My dad passed away when I was 9. He was the best dad in the world, and I still miss him. He was just the life of the party, made everyone laugh, was caring and kind. He died in an accident. My dad didn't have any family since he was a foster kid, but the day of his funeral, the place was packed with people who loved him. Literally almost no space for everyone inside. That's how many people his presence affected. My mom and I struggled until she met Marcus, not his real name, when I was 11. He helped us out a lot, and he's a great guy. It was love at first sight for them, and they got married fast. It didn't bother me though, because he is really great to me and nice. My wife, 24 female and I, 24 male, are pregnant. We just found out it's gonna be a baby boy. My wife also lost her dad when she was 17 to cancer, so she wants to name our son after him. So we decided we want our son named after his 2 grandpas. Her dad's would be our son's first name, then my dad's as his middle name. We told everyone on Zoom. My mom called me a few days after we told them. She said Marcus has been really down, and is hurt that I didn't consider naming my son after him. I talked to Marcus about this too. He admits it stung him, because he thought we had a deeper relationship, and after everything is done for my family, he figured I'd see him as someone I want to name my son after. And I told him he is important to me. I acknowledge everything he did for my family, and I love him no matter what. But my dad was also someone very important to me, and I want to honor him. That seemed to make him upset, so we ended the call. Neither of them talked to me for days, until my mom reached out again. She really thinks I should reconsider this because it would mean a lot to Marcus, and make him feel more included, I guess. I told her my wife and I pretty much decided on this. My mom got a little pissy about it. She said it's fine then if I won't compromise, and Marcus sees now where he stands in my life. It was a really weird call, and now it's radio silence from them. So yeah, I don't know. I've already told him it's important to me. He knows I love him because I've said so many times. Just don't see why he'd get upset over what we want to name our son. I doubt if we weren't naming him after our dads there would be a problem. So I'm lost. Am I being an a-hole for deciding I want my son named after my dad instead of him? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. You're naming your child after the fathers you both lost to honor them. Marcus is still here and will have a chance to be a part of the child's life, whereas your father can't. So using his name is a sweet way of making sure he too is part of your child's life as well. This is a great point. I would definitely emphasize how excited I am for him to be your baby's granddad, while firmly sticking with the name you have chosen. Just because you love your dad and want to honor his memory doesn't mean you don't love your stepdad. Not a-hole. Literally this. I would stress to Marcus that he will be the only grandpa the baby knows. You and your wife can't give that to your own dad, so want to honor them in a different way. It is not a dig at Marcus, just a way for the child to connect to 2 people he will never meet. Not a-hole. I'm gonna be blunt. Marcus would be no one if your dad hadn't sadly passed. Marcus gets the chance to be a granddad and is screwing it up over the name of your child? By what you've said, he is a good guy and involved in your life. So I'm guessing you want him involved in your son's life. I agree with another commenter that you should spend some time with Marcus and discuss his place in your life and that the name of your son doesn't change that. But being a part of your life means respecting your decisions and choices. I hope this comes to a happy resolution. I, for one, understand honoring a person through their name. I am named in part after my granddad, and I will do the same if I have children. I'm Jewish, so the whole idea of someone living lobbying to have a child named after them is inherently weird to me. Our culture, at least my version of it, I think maybe there might be a divide between Sephardic and Ashkenazi here, not entirely sure, embraces naming babies after those who have passed on, as a way to keep our departed loved one's spirit alive. In fact, it's considered bad form and bad luck to name a baby after someone who is still alive at the time of their birth. So I guess what I'm saying is, tell Marcus and Mom you're converting to Judaism. Problem solved. Anyway, not a-hole. I find it a special kind of irony that Marcus can display such petty jealousness while simultaneously asking you to name your firstborn after him. As if his behavior is such a shining example of modesty, humility, and kind-hearted decency that you'd want your son to look to the man behind these actions as a role model? Please. Marcus gets to be alive and gets to meet your son. Your dad does not. Marcus needs to focus on that stark reality. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my parents' retirement by refusing to move in with them? I, female 20, live with my mother, 55, stepfather, 69, and my brother, 18, in a small town in an apartment building that we absolutely hate. Because my brother is about to leave for the army after he graduates high school, my parents are planning on moving about 2 hours away. Their plan is for me to assume half of the rent of the new apartment, and they would travel each month, coming back once a month for doctor's appointments or during the winter season. However, currently I am the only one working in my family, as my stepfather gets disability and social security and my mother gets child support, and I work as a server/cook in a small dining restaurant. During this conversation, I was told I would have to pay for all of the moving expenses and be expected to take care of 2 dogs while they are away. I have several reasons why I refuse to move in with them, mostly due to my mother and I having a stress relationship, as well as her being manipulative. She constantly shames me for my weight, which led me to having an eating disorder that I still struggle with, complains about me trying to be with friends once or twice a week, and disapproves of the hobbies I have. I play Dungeons & Dragons. I really feel like I should be obligated to do all this, especially since I'm not seen as an adult in their eyes. I'm worried that if I move in with them, I will be forced to take care of not only half the rent and utilities, but my mother's drinking and smoking habits, and my mental health will go down the drain. But with all the conversations I've had with my parents, with them promising me more independence, I'm worried I might be the a-hole. Am I? Not the a-hole. You are an adult, just as much as your 18-year-old brother is. If they want to move, that's on them. But you are not beholden to fund their lifestyle or play kennel to their pets. Get your own apartment and pay your moving expenses to extract yourself from this insanity. The crazy thing is, they still expect me to pay their moving expenses even if I don't move in with them. And that's maybe $1,000? More? Did you get the pony you wanted when you were 6? Probably not. Their moving expenses is the pony. No is a complete sentence. Get out of that house any way you can, and go low contact/no contact until they stop trying to financially mistreat you. Them promising you more independence? You're 20 years old. You have all the independence you choose to. Move out. They're using you for financial security and a dog sitter while they do as they please. If they don't want you on your own at 20, it's because they are toxic. Not the a-hole. It's crazy they expect you to pay for moving and rent. That is just using you completely. Start saying no and find somewhere else to move. Their plan really makes no sense in the long run anyways. Never ruin your future for someone else's lack of plans. It does, in a sense. My stepfather has several health issues, and child support doesn't last forever. I think my mom wants to use me after my stepfather passes. Third story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I don't want to buy a house with you? Hey everyone! So, I'm Indian American, and if you're Indian American, you know that parents/relatives love purchasing expensive houses to flex on others, even if they can barely afford it. Same goes with luxury cars, luxury huge houses, expensive clothes, gold. So I'm 26 male. I work as an HR administrator, and I make around $60,000 after taxes, which isn't much but I don't mind. I'm able to have basic necessities, rent a nice apartment, and have plenty money for my hobbies like gaming, woodworking, books. My parents in general think I'm a failure and I'm dumb and I'm not successful. Long time ago, they cut contact with me. All the words and ways they treated me started affecting my mental health extremely bad, resulting in numerous mental disorders, which I take meds for but still isn't gone. So since we distanced, I've been feeling much better. Recently, they wanted me to come over to their house because they want to talk something important and it can't be said over the phone. So I came over, and they made lunch and treated me nicely, and then my mom and dad started talking nicely, and both of them apologized to me and said that they love me and all. They acted really friendly. I thought they actually changed for real, because it's been few years since we came this close. Then they got to the chase and said, we want to buy a new house and it costs $500,000. Then they showed me the pictures of the house they want, and it's a beautiful house. It's 5 beds, 5,000 square feet, with a luxury gate and a huge landed pool. I'd say, nice house, Dad, but where will you get this type of money though? Loan or something? You're retired and you don't earn much as you used to, and mom's a housewife. So 500,000 might be out of your range, right? Then my dad said, "Oh, no, we aren't going for loans. You pay us 250,000 and I will put in 250,000, then I can buy the house." Immediately when my dad said, "You pay us 250,000, I got shocked and just got up quickly and told them, "Sorry, Dad, I can't afford 250,000 at this moment. I don't have that type of money, and I don't want to buy a house with you." I quickly leave, and before I close the door, my dad said, "I thought you loved us. Don't you want your old parents to live in a nice home? I brought you to America, and now you're leaving your parents." Mom starts fake crying, and my dad is telling me, "Wow, you're leaving your old parents? You should be ashamed of yourself. I knew you were a failure. Disgusting." Insert cuss words. Mom continues to make boohoo noises and fake cries, and she says her share of cuss words in Hindi. I just closed the door and left. I have saved up a good amount of money, around 100,000 US dollars, from job, side hustles, etc. But I don't plan on purchasing a home just yet because I'm not certain where I will be living permanently yet. Plus, with job layoffs and all, I don't want to have all these responsibilities, especially in this time. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. As an Indian, I totally understand and therefore not the a-hole. Thank you. I know it's mainly us Indians who know the feeling. Lol, I agree with this. I'm not at that age yet, but my brother got an academic thing at his school. And my dad, his Indian, just brought me outside one day in the middle of my online class and said, "I need one of these from you." It was one of those signs that says an award winner lives here and stuff. I'm not comparing how my situation is to yours, by the way. I'm just saying I understand how they can be. I'm here if you ever need to talk. Oh, thank you so much. Not a-hole. I am Asian and understand filial piety very well. I had a different, more positive relationship with my parents, and I would still never do this. Also, my parents would never ask us. They know I need to live my own life. You are not your parents' retirement plan. Not the a-hole, and you know it. It sounds like you cutting contact was the right thing back then, and it sounds like the right thing now. The only reason they contacted you was for money. If your dad is able to put up $250,000, I'm certain that he can purchase a nice, but slightly smaller, property for him and your mother to spend their final years in. I might have misread this, but what exactly is the benefit to you in parting with $250,000? Are you expected to live in this house? Just expected to buy it for them and continue your way with an empty bank account and eat dust for the next 25 years? You are not the a-hole, and it's time to go no contact with your parents. For your own peace of mind and sanity, your mom and dad will be able to sort themselves out. They never really offered me to stay with them, so I don't really know exactly what they intended to do. I assume it's just for mom and dad to live in. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's wife to suck it up? My dad married his wife when I was 10. My mom had died 2 years earlier. She never tried to be my mom or got jealous that I loved my mom. But she sure hated the fact my dad wasn't single by choice and was so jealous of the 3 photos we had displayed in the house. One in the living room, one in the dining room, and one in my room. And she asked for them to be taken out of sight and my dad complied. She also hated that he had contact with my mom's family still, mostly for me. So even though he did cut me off from them, he hasn't spoken to them since. And she gets so annoyed when they show up for stuff like my high school graduation or my birthdays. I moved in with my boyfriend back in February of last year, and then everything shut down, and I didn't see my dad for a while. He never saw my house or anything. It was only in January that we saw each other again, and then a few weeks ago he and his wife came over to see the house, and she was uncomfortable when she saw photos of my mom, but specifically the family photos of when my mom was alive. And she made a comment, followed by asking me if I would take them down while she was there. And when I said no, she said I must have put them up to rub it in her face. I told her to suck it up. And if I had to learn how to live in a house where photos of my mom were hidden, she could learn to live with being inside a house with photos of her while she was a guest and not even living there. She told me there was no reason to be rude, and I should try to see it from her perspective. She's been giving my dad a hard time ever since. Then she told me she was sorry for making the request, and the least I could do is apologize for being so rude over a simple mistake. I don't think I'm in the wrong at all. I think it's kinda messed up that my dad goes along with all this, and is okay with pretending my mom never existed around her. But I wonder if I was a little rude and should have left it at a no. It irked me when she brought up the photos and asked me to take them down like she didn't already have too much control over the photos in my bedroom when I lived there. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your father enables your stepmother. She told me there was no reason to be rude and I should try to see it from her perspective. What perspective would that be, as a guest in your home? You're displaying pictures of your family. She's been giving my dad a hard time ever since. Then told me she was sorry for making the request, and the least I could do is apologize for being so rude. Which, please. She's ridiculous. She walked into your home and asked you to remove pictures of your mother. Let's all pause and reflect upon how insane and entitled a person must be to act this way. I would never, ever apologize. If she wants to complain to your father, good for her. He's the one who should tell her she's being unreasonable and overbearing and completely inappropriate. He can enjoy her witching since he's the one who should shut her down, but doesn't. She said I must have put them up to rub it in her face. This is perhaps the textbook definition of narcissism. The only reason a person would have a picture of their dead mother in their house is to make me feel bad. Right? The house that she's entered one time in 13 months. I guess she thinks Opie's playing the long spite game. I now have this mental image of Opie prancing around evilly like the Grinch, placing the photos in the perfect place before sitting back in glee, and cackling at how brilliant their evil plan is before clapping and rolling all over the couch in joy. Not a-hole. You don't have anything to apologize for. Regardless of how she feels about your mom, she is way out of line trying to dictate what photos you can display in your own home. Also, while I can somewhat understand her not wanting those photos displayed in the shared areas of her house, she was also wrong to ask that you not have them in your own room.